Hello everybody, Skippy Gamer here. Welcome to my video review of Freedom Planet! Sometime after my previous episode, I started thinking about some ideas of what games I wanted to play for this channel next. And looking for a game that I could play on my computer other than Undertale. And when I went on Steam and saw the trailer for this game, I was like, wow, what a trailer! Alright, this is the next game to play. So, I played it, and do I think it's a cool game? Or just okay? Story. The story to this game is pretty interesting and cool. When you start up the game, we see a scene where, in a planet called Avalice, an alien-like ship comes to invade Shuigan Palace. The palace guards tried to beat them back, but with no success. The army was too relentless to take down. Even their leader here.
My turn.
Upon reaching the throne room, the king's attempt to fight back fails, but not in death just yet. As this creature brings in the king's son, he explains to the king that he is going to...
I'm gifting your son with my knowledge. It will make him the most powerful ruler your world has ever known. And he will answer to no one but me.
In other words, he's going to make him his brainwashed puppet. And then, he kills the king.
No! Murderer! Prepare the Snatcher.
Then, after that, a narrator explains that, for years, they relied on a stone dubbed the Kingdom Stone for energy, protection, and more. But its power is fading. Dale, the king's son, has been invading other lands to steal energy from other kingdoms. Due to the Bugman's brainwashing, tensions are growing, and that war is upon us.
War may be inevitable.
I know, right? After starting a new file, we see the ship from the beginning crash landing into a snowy area. No. 3 days later, we see some troops from that invasion shooting down a plane of some sort. As it crashes down, two girls, Lilac the dragon and Carol the wildcat, sees it crash down, and Lilac goes to the wreckage, though Carol leaves, and then comes back.
Thank you,
After saving the duck What? What is it? Yeah, she actually is. Yes. I know. It's hard to believe, but yes, she is an actual dragon. Okay, she doesn't have wings or breathes fire, but she is a dragon. I know. Neither do I. Anyways. After saving a duck man named Torque from some snake guy, he warns the girls that someone, by order of King Zhao, is about to steal the Kingdom Stone. So Lilac and Carol go warn General Gong. Gong gong gong. But to no avail. Some troops crash through the gate to steal the stone. As Lilac and Carol reach the Kingdom Stone, they are greeted by Dale's brother, Spade. Spade believes that if he steals the stone from Zhao, he can find his father's killer, which we know who it is, but he doesn't. He succeeds in stealing the stone. The girls escape the cave, then they are greeted by someone named Neela. And then they become friends and even goes to live with them at their secret hideout. After that, General Gong, nope, warns Magister, the king of this land, what happened. And at that night, Carol wakes up Lilac and shows her Twerk, the duck, without his beak.
It's not what it looks like! From another
And
world.
it is here that we find out that he is an alien that is part of an alliance between many planets called Chasers. And he also reveals that the Bugman from the beginning is named Lord Brevin. He has invaded many worlds, killed many people, with thousands of heroes from those planets either corrupted or killed. And he wants the stone's power to double the size of his already massive army. With all this in mind, Lilac and friends volunteered to help get the Kingdom Stone back and stop Brevin once and for all. And so, Team Lilac get ready for the adventure of their lives.
Wonderful! We'll talk about the name later, okay?
The story is pretty good so far, and close enough to an all-new original story in my book. Especially how Brevin explains how he was going to use Dale, Prince of Shuigen, as his puppet behind the scenes was pretty clever too. Though it's probably not that original. But it's how he explained it that made it original to me anyway. Plus, the whole thing about him killing 1,000 other heroes from other planets is a pretty cool concept, actually. Heck, that topic is somewhat exploited again in a cutscene later on. The cutscenes are awesome, and the way they are played, combining both text bubble reading and anime-like voice acting, is really well done, too. All in all, the cutscenes are awesome.
What? Really? Fair enough.
The voice acting in this game is pretty cool also, but we'll talk about that when we get to the music. With all of this in mind, it's shaping up to be an awesome and epic story, and I can't wait to get this review done so I can play it again, if you know what I mean. With everything I said and more, I decided to give story 4 stars.
Yeah! Awesome! Wonderful!
Music. The music is really good and epic at times. Some of the songs are epic and engaging, which is really cool at times. And it's thanks to the soundtrack that I do have some personal favorite songs here, such as what an awesome song! And some of these songs had me in awe on how good they sounded.
Always right
As I
behind
brought up in story, the voice acting is awesome, and is like an anime of sorts, which
Well, on board.
again was done really well. The drama, the comedy, everything is top-notch. All in all, the music to this game is pretty awesome, dude. With everything I said and more, I decided to give music 5 stars.
Awesome! Wonderful!
Graphics. The graphics are pretty cool too. Everything is detailed really well, though it's not really that colorful in my opinion, but it's nice. The character designs are detailed really well. Better yet, everything pixel-wise is detailed well, with pretty much not a single detail in the character models or backgrounds are missed. The level designs and how it's structured is well done, and most of it is somewhat similar to some of Sonic's 2D Genesis days. And the character animations are smooth and well done also. The enemy design is well done too. Pretty much all the enemies are robots, just like in Sonic games, and are unique in their design. Some are simple looking, threatening, and interesting also. All in all, the graphics are awesome. With everything I said and more, I decided to give graphics 4 stars.
Woohoo! That's how it's done.
Gameplay. The gameplay is fun. The controls in this game will be different depending on if you play with the keyboard or a gamepad. As for which one I recommend, I'd probably have to say the gamepad. Though days after day 5 of this week, I actually decided to play a game or two using the keyboard and...
Come on, stay there, come on. Jump, come on, jump, dude. I got some terrible at it, but still fun.
It's interesting, I'll just say that. So, if you're a guy who is mainly used to playing games with either a gamepad or a controller, you may have somewhat of a hard time here. But you may get used to it after a couple of minutes or so. I certainly did. Though, of course, if you're a PC gamer who mainly uses a keyboard most of the time, then you have nothing to worry about. The default controls for the keyboard are to move, you press the arrow keys, Z to jump, X to use an action, and C to use the special attack. And enter or return is the start button. As for a controller or gamepad, or if you're using a Steel Series controller, the default settings are: this is to jump, this is to use your special ability, this is to attack, and use the D-pad or the controller stick to move around like you normally would. You can also use this as you would for these button commands, which I find that interesting. Oh, and this is the pause button right here. Okay, that's the default settings for that kind of controller brand. I say that way because I have a feeling each different kind of gamepad will register it differently. Plus, you can also change the button layout of both the keyboard and controller also in the settings, which is nice. For those who don't know, this game was originally supposed to be a Sonic fan-made game, but was then changed to its own IP. So, if you are used to some of Sonic's 2D games, like the games on the Sega Genesis, then you are going to feel right at home here. Because some of the level design, as I mentioned in graphics, to some of its gameplay are somewhat similar, with some differences. In this game, you play 3 different characters, each with different kinds of actions and special abilities. Lilac is kind of like Sonic in the group of Team Lilac.
We'll talk about...
And she's the fastest member of the trio. Though I'm not saying the others aren't fast at all, I'm just saying that she's faster than the rest. and most of her moves too. However, when she jumps, she doesn't turn into a ball or anything. Better yet, none of them do now that I think about it. Though when she double jumps, she uses her ability, which will damage enemies. Her action is attacking, and it will be performed differently in certain situations, like her attacks can hit things while you move. You can down kick if you hold the down key, or down on the control stick, whichever. Or hold the up key, or hold up on the control stick, to use an uppercut, which makes me think of Street Fighter's Shoryuken. Yeah, it would be. And when the power meter on the top left corner is full, press the special button and aim anywhere diagonally to launch yourself mid-air and wipe out any foe along the way. Which, it's an awesome move to use at times. Oh, and since I brought that up, there is a power meter that does fill up automatically, and some actions like Lilac's Cyclone and her launch ability uses it up. But only Lilac and Carol have it. For Carol, she has a lot more action and combat-like moves than just moving fast, like Knuckles. When you double jump, she will pounce on an enemy instead of just jumping higher like Lilac. When pressing the action button, she will attack with her claws, and every time you press the attack button, she attacks in a different style than the last one, which is interesting. And when you activate her special, she can deliver a lot of kung fu-like kicks, Dragon Ball Z style. Plus, there's a little line on the power bar indicating how much power you need to perform the kicks without filling up all the way like Lilac's abilities, which is pretty cool. Though a few unique things about her is that the red-like pads that were in all the stages, including in Lilac's stage, you remember those? Well, if you press the jump button on these pads, she can jump from one pad to the next. And the more you press the button, the more platforms you jump to. Though you will fall off if you don't press the jump button right away when you get to the next platform, so keep that in mind. And you probably noticed these toolbox-like objects on some levels also, right? Well, if she runs into one of them, she can summon her motorcycle. Yeah, and it's fun riding that around, mowing down enemies and such. And I find it funny on how if you jump or something, you flip your bike around like Sonic would by himself. Yeah, I know. The third character is Neela. Now, her gameplay is unique. She has no power bar. When you hold down the jump button, she flies for a little bit. And she has some force field-like abilities. Her action summons a shield that turns into a small explosion when you let go of the button. And she can summon a box to throw at her enemies. Yeah, I know. As for the level design, it's designed really well, and as I said before, it's like the Sonic Genesis games. Some of the slight differences is that some of the abilities, like having a protect bubble around you and such, is summoned by breaking crystals, and the one-ups are these weird head things? What the heck are those? And there's both a mini-boss and a main boss in each level. The enemies and their design are well done too. Some are simple to beat, and others are more tougher, and are unique in their ways of design and attacks. The other stage elements and obstacles are well done too, and what obstacles and stuff there are will vary depending on the stage you play on. In options, you can adjust the game's difficulty to either casual, easy, normal, or hard. Yeah, that's a possibility. You can adjust the screen to 2x, 3x, or full screen. Or if you want, you can make it 1x and make it really, really tiny. Though I have no idea why you would want to do that. You can adjust the music volume, controller stick sensitivity, change the controls like I mentioned earlier, and while we're on that note, I got to say, how you can change to either a keyboard or a controller, and how to change each button input on any one of them is pretty easy, and faster to do than anything I've ever played. Or maybe I'm forgetting Undertale's easy control settings. I don't know. To change the controls, if you want to use either keyboard or a gamepad, just go up to type once you get to the control settings and go to either keyboard or gamepad. And then go down to the categories on which button does what and adjust them the way you want. Select the option and press the button you want to assign them on. Pretty easy. The way the game plays is smooth, fast-paced, and fun. Though there are some little flaws in this game. For one, sometimes it seems hard to get Lilac to speed up sometimes. Probably due to how the levels are designed somewhat. Like when you run into walls or moving upside down here, or who knows. One other flaw that kind of bugs me is that when you're trying to hit those trampolines to give yourself a bit of a boost, you have to press the D-pad in the direction you bounce to, or you'll slow down slightly or fully, especially when you're going over a ramp or something. And that kind of annoys me sometimes. And that's pretty much all the flaws I could think of that this game has right now anyway. I also find it kind of surprising on how easy it is to walk on the walls if there is a ramp up the wall or something. Just press the direction you want to go and hold the button down, and then up you go. Yeah, exactly. It's really interesting, and it's something I don't think was in any of the Sonic games on the Sega Genesis. I don't think. No, I think it is different, because in Lilac's case right here, in this game, you could go through loop-de-loops even if you're walking, but in the Sonic Genesis games, you could only walk up walls and loop-de-loops and such if only you're running. Only if you're running, or in a spin dash going very fast. That's what I mean. There's probably more I could mention here, but that's all I'm going to bring up here in this review. Wrapping everything up, Freedom Planet is a fun and enjoyable game to play so far. The story is funny, charming, and epic all around, with some awesome voice acting, nicely detailed graphics for both the level designs, character designs, and more, and the game is fun to play. Wait, did I mention that already? Other than the downfall that I mentioned earlier in gameplay, is minor and doesn't fully ruin the experience in my opinion. If you're a fan of 2D, fast-paced, 2D Sonic-like gameplay, then this game will give you the time of your lives, no doubt. I do recommend giving it a shot. Though I have a feeling I may get a much bigger impression of the game if I finish it. And I do plan on playing all the way through in my spare time if I can. Kind of like what I did with Undertale last year. You remember that? But as for what I've mentioned today and more, I decided to give gameplay 4 stars.
Awesome! We made it!
With everything I said and more, I decided to give this game, so far, 4 stars with a gold medal. And I recommend this game for fans of 2D Sonic games, fast-paced games, action games, games with an epic and enjoyable story, and for people who want to have an awesome experience.
Finally, it's done. Oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. I should never, ever, ever take that long again. But jeez Louise. What stuff was going on? Man, I'm exhausted. Oh! You guys are still here. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Wow, I have a lot of explaining to do.
Though, if I start explaining now, the video will be a bit longer than it even needs to be, so we're going to rush to the end here.
Hey, up and at 'em! We've got adventuring to do!
Oh, 5 more minutes.
I was wondering when you'd be awake.
You can blame Carol for that. She sleeps for like half a day.
Totally worth it.
Totally worth it.
Wah, wah.